for this session, and we will actually transmit the recording as well through Facebook Live. And so some participants that don't join the room right now, they will be watching us through our Facebook Live. And for those of you that are just joining us, just to let you know that you can write any questions for our panelists on our chat, and we will do our best to get to all of your questions. So we will let the rest of the participants join us. I can see Yashar has actually put a beautiful poster of our activity. Thank you so much. Better than us. We just put our name. Excellent. Thank you for that. Okay. So as I know that your time is at a premium, I think we'll get started. And my colleagues and myself will let the rest of the participants as they come, we'll let them into the session. So once more, welcome all to today's panel on the occasion of International Day of Rural Women, celebrated on the 15th of October of each year. We thank Mashav alumni and the international organizations for taking part and joining us this Sunday afternoon. We have with us today 3 amazing panelists, but before we would like to welcome Ms. Shuli Kurson-Bangelder. She is the Director of Planning, Evaluation and Partnerships from Mashav, the Israeli Agency for International Development and Cooperation, to say a few words to all of you. Shuli, the microphone is all yours.
Thank you very much, Noria, and good afternoon to you all. I want to thank you for joining us on this day on behalf of Mashav. In recent years, we have started a tradition of marking international days that are relevant to Mashav activities, and today we are marking the International Day of Rural Women. International Day for Rural Women is a day that focuses on gender equality and empowering women in rural areas. This year, the theme of the day is Rural Women Cultivating Good Food for All. The theme aims to eradicate discrimination faced by women in rural areas. Mashav, Israel's Agency for International Development Cooperation, is actively contributing to the global efforts to achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And today we are addressing goal number 1, no poverty, 2, zero hunger, and goal 5, gender equality. I would like to thank Dr. Virpi Staki from UNIDO, Dr. Amber Hill from the Tel Chai College, and Alexandra Garmasch from Ukraine Horticultural Business Development Project for lecturing on this special day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shuli. Thank you so much for joining us. And then I'm going to pass the microphone to MCTC Director, Sarah Wilner.
Thank you, Noria, and thank you, Shuli. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. MCTC's goal started in 1961 by Golda Meir, was to empower women, and the goal remains the same. Gender equality is our main goal, and we are so happy today to be celebrating the International Day of Rural Women. As Shirley said, it's wonderful to see here 2 of our organizations that we partner with, UNIDO, which we have many training courses on in agribusiness. Thank you, Dr. Virpi Stuki, for joining us. And Alexandra Garmasch from UHBDP, who has worked with us for many years as well in empowering women in agriculture and in business. Thank you very much. And of course, to Dr. Amber Hill, who is here, who is a lecturer who joins us often and is one of our main experts in the topics. So thank you everyone for joining us. Say hello. I'm saying hello to everyone on Facebook as well, where it's being live streamed. And back to you, Noria.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much. So as Sarah said, MCTC has been working throughout the whole history, but especially during the COVID-19 pandemic in activities to include and support rural women's livelihoods. And with less than 10 years to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, we feel it is imperative to continue working to support rural women and girls around the world to build their resilience, their entrepreneurial skills, and leadership abilities. This International Day of Rural Women offers us an opportunity to revise and highlight the existing inequalities among genders and the importance of international cooperation to achieve a more secure and safe environment for all. We're proud to introduce our three speakers for today. We have with us Dr. Birpi Stuckey, Ms. Alexandra Garmasch, and Dr. Amber Hill. We will start with you, Dr. Birpi Stuckey. She's the Chief of Rural Entrepreneurship, Job Creation, and Human Security Division at UNIDO. In her role, she oversees the division's interventions on improving the income and employment opportunities for women, youth, and crisis-affected populations by empowering people with demand-driven skills and by fostering entrepreneurship. Prior to her current role, she worked as a business partnership officer, as an industrial development officer at UNIDO. And furthermore, she also worked at the Royal Dutch Shell, the International Union for Conservation of Nature, and Aalto University School of Engineering. She holds a PhD in civil and environmental engineering. Thank you so much for being with us, Dr. Birpi, and we'll give the microphone to you.
Thank you very much, Nuria. Ladies and gentlemen, warm greetings from Vienna, the headquarters of the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO. My name is Birpi Stuckey, as Nuria mentioned, and I wish you all a very nice United Nations International Day of Rural Women 2021. Let me start by telling a story about my grandmother. I come from Finland, and my family is from Finnish Lapland. Lapland is a region in the north of Finland, which is basically north of the Arctic Circle, identified with very harsh weather conditions. My grandmother was a rural woman. Selma was her name. She was born in 1916, meaning that Selma's early adulthood coincided with Finland's recovery from the World War II. After the war, Finland, especially Lapland, was very poor. There was shortage of everything, and families were given land and forest to restart building their lives back. This was also the case for my grandmother. All food were taken from the forest or by cultivating land. Berries, fish, bird, meat. Selma did have some cows for milk, cream, and butter, which were her only sources of income, especially after my granddad passed away. Women were in charge of the entire household when men were working in the forest as lumberjacks. Finland recovered from the war well, and part of that recovery can be attributed to rural women like Selma, who made sure that kids were raised and families fed. The International Day of Rural Women celebrates and honors the role of rural women on October 15th every year. This idea of honoring rural women with a special day was put forward at the 4th World Conference on Women in Beijing, China in 1995. It was suggested that October 15 be celebrated as the World Rural Women's Day, which is the eve of the World Food Day, to highlight rural women's role in food production and food security. World Rural Women's Day was previously celebrated across the world for more than a decade before it was officially a UN day. Let me cite you a few facts in relation to rural women. According to UNIDO's sister agency, ILO, rural women constitutes a quarter of the world's population, and they work as farmers, wage earners, and entrepreneurs. Less than 20% of landholders worldwide are women. In rural areas, the gender pay gap is as high as 14%. And if rural women had the same access to agricultural assets, education, and markets as men, agricultural production could be increased and the number of hungry people reduced by 150 million. I started up with the story about my grandmother, but as the chief of the division of rural entrepreneurship, job creation, and human security, I would like to continue with stories about other rural women, building on examples of the work that is conducted in the division that I'm heading. These stories nicely demonstrate the achievements, but also the challenges faced by rural women in the agri-sphere. Let me start with a story about Haifa from Tunisia. I will also change my background. So Haifa is here, also with her cow. In Tunisia, UNIDO is implementing a project called Mashuri, which means my project in Arabic. The project is focusing on enterprise development and entrepreneurship, as well as creating an entrepreneurial mindset. After graduating in computer engineering and working several years as a software developer and IT manager, Haifa decided to take a very unusual turn in her career. While working for a dairy company client, she discovered a passion for cattle breeding. And the seed of her entrepreneurial project was sown in 2017, when at that time, the 28-year-old decided to launch Tunisia's first smart dairy farm. Haifa was supported from the beginning of course, by her parents, who offered her to establish the farm in the family land. And she trained herself in cattle breeding, combining theory and practice, which allowed her to learn the techniques of the trade. In April 2018, Haifa took the opportunity to apply to a contest for young entrepreneurs organized by the project Mashuri, as well as some other partners. And Haifa was actually selected to join the program in 2018 to benefit from a year of support and technical assistance in order to create her company. Mashuri project also supported her through deep dive business coaching, which enabled her to create her business plan. Today, with her farm, Lait Espoir, meaning the milk of hope, Haifa is the head of a cattle farm that she has built. With the help of modern IT technology, she can monitor her cattle and optimize, for example, the feed, resulting into increased production rates without the need to increase the cattle size. With the support of her parents, she is now about to expand her farming business. I also must say that Haifa benefited from COVID pandemic because due to this COVID pandemic, the government of Tunisia decided to invest more in IT infrastructure, which helped her also in the smart farm infrastructure needs. My second story is from Zambia. Let me also change my background. So it's about Ruth, who you can see behind me. And this is very much different aspect of rural women and agribusiness because it relates to heavy equipment machinery, such as tractors or trucks, and skills development program in this domain. In order to support the government initiatives, the government of Zambia's initiatives to bolster youth employment in key sectors, UNIDO is implementing a project called ZAMITA. ZAMITA stands for the Zambia Industrial Training Academy. And the purpose of Zamita is to foster systemic change in the development of skilled workforce. In 2015, UNIDO started providing the industry-relevant training programs for the transport and heavy-duty equipment sector, which both are important aspects for linking rural women and the food they produce to markets. Rural, a final year student in heavy equipment repair training program, is one of the project beneficiaries. She expressed her gratitude for Zamita program for providing the knowledge required to become, as Ruth says, some of the best engineers the country has ever produced. Ruth also says that the program has changed the minds of female students, which is evident from the fact that now 13% of the students are women. And this is a true reflection that heavy equipment engineering is no longer a male-dominated field, as was the case in the past. Zamita experience has shown that there are critical factors that help increase female participation in technical training. These include the existence of female role models and male relatives and friends playing a significant role by supporting and encouraging girls to choose a technical career path. In this context, the Zamita project puts special focus on making men challenge traditional stereotypes and on promoting respect for women in industrial jobs. This is what Ruth says. After completing the course, I would like to have the opportunity to apply all the skills I acquired. I will then use the experience I have gained to help single mothers who didn't have the chance to attend this kind of courses by starting up other programs and opening companies related to engineering activities and hiring them. The three examples of Selma, my grandmother, Haifa from Tunisia with the smart farm, and Ruth from Zambia with the heavy-duty equipment training program gives a very different view of the life of rural women in terms of the challenges and achievements. However, there is something in common in all of the three stories, and that is persistence. All three women faced resistance, either because of the pure amount of physical work in harsh conditions, either because of setting up something new that has never been done before, like smart farm, or because of selecting a typically male-dominated field of study. Yet, all women succeeded. With the stories of Selma, Haifa, and Ruth in mind, I would like to wish you all again a very happy United Nations International Day of Rural Women 2021. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much, Birpi, for these very fascinating stories that you just brought for us today. Really wonderful to hear about your grandma and these hardworking ladies in Tunisia as well. Which, by the way, brings me to a question that we have for you, Birpi. Because you mentioned the work that Haifa did in Tunisia, and it's very interesting that she actually benefited in a kind of a way from the situation with the COVID. But unfortunately, it's not the reality for many other women worldwide. So were there any, in your opinion, any programs that should have been put in place to help more women in the rural areas throughout this period? Or were there enough support and initiatives throughout from your organization, from other governments? What's your opinion on what you've seen so far?
Thank you very much for the question, which I could say immediately that no, there were not enough programs in place. I think that the situation was so new to everybody that there were only suboptimal support programs. From UNIDO's side, of course, at the wake of the pandemic, some of our training programs, for example, on textile sector, were turned into production of PPE, personal protective equipment, which of course was a very needed sector, and also ensured the livelihoods, so that the jobs were not actually lost but turned into something different. We also have examples of rural women in Senegal turning and exploring this kind of natural hand sanitizer, making natural hand sanitizers from mango and other fruits and nuts in the regions. And then, of course, when it comes to training programs, most of our training went online. Of course, it took a while to get this idea introduced and accepted, and especially in the rural areas, it's not often even possible. But in some countries like Uganda and Morocco, where the infrastructure was available, all the training programs went online. So this is something I can tell from our side and our part at UNIDO. Of course, I don't think anyone could say that there were enough support, but there were support to the extent possible and in the conditions that were prevailing, and we did all our best. Thank you.
Thank you very much. While we wait for any other questions, we will pass on the microphone to my colleague Katerina Rudenko.
Nuria, I think we have a question from Swang. Can you just unmute yourself? Or if it's a mistake, maybe.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, greetings from Bhutan. This is Sonamgila. And then let me firstly wish you a very happy UN International Rural Women's Day 2021. With this, I would like to thank Madam Virpi for the fascinating story. So my question here is a general concern. That's like, it's like some kind of a myth where we say, like, when we focus on the gender equality and then empowering women, at times this gender equality and empowering women works as negative incentives, or like we tend to have like overpowering of women. So under such circumstances, I would like to request the Madam VP to share your view on such instances. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. If I do understand correctly, it's about why, when we talk about gender, why do we talk about women? And I think the pure reason is that this gender equality often, or gender inequality is often towards women. This is not the case in my country. In Finland, we have very female headed government, for example. But in the places we work, the focus is on women because of the fact that women have less opportunities or are less represented. As I mentioned in my case from Zambia, male support is extremely important, and there are occasions where we actually think that we know what the issue is, and then we realized that actually we were wrong. So for example, we were in this kind of heavy duty equipment type of trainings, we often think that it's the fathers who doesn't want their daughters to go into that kind of training. And we learned through surveys that this is not the case, but the case that the female wouldn't select kind of heavy duty equipment field is because they don't have, none of their friends are doing it. So the more of their friends choosing this kind of a course, the higher chances is that the females are also using this kind of courses. Going back to the male-female question, the salaries in male-oriented areas are often a lot higher. Meaning that if we push female students to engineering topics, will contribute to reducing the pay gap, which I mentioned in my speech also. I don't know if I answered your question, but basically, of course, gender equality is important. In the countries we work, female are often more unequal than male, and that's why we focus on females. Thank you.
Thank you, Birpi.
Thank you, Wirpi. Hello to all participants again. Thank you for being with us today. My name is Katerina Rudenka, and I'm a program director of innovation and entrepreneurship in Russian and English at Mctc. I would like to present Mashav and MIDA, the Mennonite Economic Development Association cooperation on the Ukrainian Horticulture Business Development Project. The cooperation started in 2015 and comprises 4 areas of Ukraine: Odessa, Kherson, Nikolaev, and Zaporozhye. The project included lectures and workshops for business owners on topic of business skills and agriculture, such as networking, business psychology, human resources management, business models, and etc. And it's really my pleasure to present Alexandra Garmasch. She's a gender cross-cutting manager at MIDA, and she's here to describe her experience with a rural woman in Ukraine. Alexandra, the microphone is yours.
Thank you, Katerina. Thank you, Mashav. Thank you, Mctc, for this invitation. It's very important for me to participate now in this event with you. Actually, International Day of Rural Women is critically important. I think all over the world. Because rural women pretty often they are, let's say, so invisible because of more poor internet, more poor infrastructure, more burdens because of family responsibilities, households, small businesses, and etc. So that's why returning back to issues, to constraints that rural women face day by day, thinking how to overcome those constraints, how to improve life conditions, level of life of rural women, and finding the decisions we can provide we can improve life of many people. I believe this. When we improve life of rural women, these improvements interact, engage all people. So yeah, today I would like to share our experience of UHBDP, and my presentation will be focused on what does it mean decent work, and what did we do, and what do we do to achieve conditions for decent work. And before sharing my presentation, I would like to say the next. In Ukraine, in rural areas, The poorness is higher than in urban areas. The expectancy of life is lower than in urban areas. Working in frames of decent work, what do we mean? We mean that opportunity to earn the fair income, the security in the workplace, and freedom to express the concerns, and participation at decision making. Please let me know, do you see my screen?
Yes, it's okay, we can see it.
Okay, so UHBDP, we work to increase the profits of small and medium-sized producers, particularly women, particularly rural women, through the introduction of innovative technologies and business approaches. They save time and physical efforts, and as well, they are environmentally friendly. Our project is financed by Global Affairs Canada, co-financed and implemented by Mennonite Economic Development Associates. Our area of work is south of Ukraine. Currently, our client base is particularly 50,000 unique clients, and number of rural women is over 10,000 people. I mean, unique rural women clients.
Alexandra, can you just open the full share screen for
Yes.
PPT?
Yes, of course. Okay.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah. Currently, we work the 7th year. We started in 2014, and we are going to finish in 2022. In 2014, there was the inception mission, and our very active work started in 2015, and we are going to finish to work with clients this year. Working all these 7 years, each year we paid attention to International Day of Rural Women, and each year, depending on budget, depending on conditions, we conduct activities devoted to International Day of Rural Women in different directions. And in first year of our project, we launched the partnership with NGO Ukraine Women Farmer Council. And during next years, we conducted researches which were devoted to needs of rural women, and we developed and conducted online marathons, and we disseminated information of needs, or if it would be possible, we conducted forums, excursions, let's say so high level. We conducted big forums where many women participated, like as it was in 2019, when we conducted forum with another Canadian project devoted to dairy business development, and at that forum there were around 100 rural women from all over Ukraine. And also what was important, I believe that we did, we brought women to our Ukrainian parliament. We conducted roundtables with deputies. We conducted business trainings, which were attended by deputies or some representatives of the agrarian ministry. Also, we conducted their excursions in our parliament, and our key focus was the women leadership and advocacy development. This year, due to quarantine measures, it's not possible to conduct in-person meetings, offline meetings, and this year we did the marathon devoted to decent work, and not we speak about decent work. Rural women, they shooted video, very short video, and they express their attitude. What does it mean to them, the decent work? Through this approach, we, from one side, try make rural women more visible, and from another side, we try to make women more active, more proactive, more free to be online, to share their needs, to share their visions, concerns, and to be more closer to decision making. If to speak about UHBDP at all and directions, how do we develop business in rural areas? I can say that there are three directions. To introduce innovative technologies which save time and physical efforts, and which are environmental friendly. Also, the second direction, we conducted a lot of trainings, including online trainings, which are recorded and which are available all the time on our web page. So we worked in the second direction to improve business models, financial issues, partnership, cooperation between farmers and between other actors of market, penetration and routing on the market with added value. And the third very important direction, to develop friendly business environment. That related to service firms, banks, governmental authorities, and many other actors who influence on business, particularly agricultural business. Currently, we developed. My apologies. Somebody is on my screen and trying to press something. Please don't. Currently, we developed online platform AgroWiki, where we gathered a lot of information on innovative technologies, on business improvement, and we shared 87 success stories. Many of these stories about family businesses or just women businesses from rural territories. What steps did that businesses do to get the success, the sustainable success, and success that very important for future development. Now I can say that our web page is visited by over 500,000 people, and 51% of these participants were women. Also in UHBDP, we have very strong tools how to track participants, how to understand what is demanded for men, for women, what tools we developed for women with focus on women, and did these tools and were these tools demanded by women. Now I would like to present, my apologies, please don't press on my screen because it's difficult to present presentation. Thank you. I would like to share with you three tools that we developed with focus on rural women specifically. For example, the first tool is a kinesthetic business wheel. This is a paper wheel, and this wheel support people who use this tool understand if you have 10% of hectare, or it's pretty small area. How much can you earn depending on crop, depending on market, and depending on your profitability model? So this is the approach to decision making. The second tool is business calculator. This is the tool that represents just Excel file with some spreadsheets, and people should not have any skills in Excel. They just have to know where to enter their expenses and where to enter their incomes. And this calculator provides all calculations by itself and provide results. This crop has got this profitability, this crop, that profitability, and etc. This calculator enables to analyze at one moment 15 crops. And in addition, here there is opportunity to record family budget, to plan family budget, and to understand your family needs higher or lower than the income of your business. And if higher, on what value of finance. So you can understand the residuals that you can invest on your business, or if your family needs is higher than your business enables provide to you, you can understand on the beginning the value of additional finances that you have to earn. And the third tool that we developed is the brochure about state financial programs. For example, in 2017, there were few people in rural area who knew about that Ukraine as the state, that our Ukrainian government provides state financial programs, and people didn't believe in these programs. From one side, the situation was people didn't believe. From another side, information was not very, let's say, open and popularized. And what we did, we developed 10 questions, and we made information from about each program very uniform. And now it enables people, particularly rural women, to save time, to understand how much, to whom, to what purpose, in what, under what conditions, does it, is it grant or is it the credit, what the percent of this credit, and etc. So these are only 3 examples of our business tools that we developed for with focus particularly to rural women, to support them to earn higher incomes, to earn more fair revenues, and to be closer to resources, to understand what are barriers for them to get these resources, and to be more free in decision making and sharing their visions. Thank you for your attention. Please believe that I have shared maybe around 10% of all our activities and tools. But again, I'm very glad to be with you today and to share our experience. Thank you a lot.
Thank you, Alexandra. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was great to see all the different tools that they are available to our rural women all over the place. And I think together with some of the programs that you need to run too in the value chain, together with what you do, I think it's an invaluable information for rural women everywhere. And I see that you had to also move so many of your activities online. Obviously, this is a theme that we see everywhere all over the world. Of course, MCTC, Mashav also had to do very much the same. But I'm happy to say that we're beginning to bring life into our centers and our training programs, and we're going to start receiving people very soon. Katrina, do you have any questions for Alexandra right now? Just a quick question then, Alexandra. Aside of the programs that you presented, are there any other programs that you feel that they're necessary to improve the abilities and knowledge of the rural population, rural women at large?
I think in Ukraine there is a gap on entrepreneurship and business mind development. So maybe in some cities, in some urban territories, these programs could be available. But as I see in rural areas, we have gap. So in our schools and college, there is no any focus for youth how to develop yourself, how to develop business. What does it mean, entrepreneurship? And when people start to do something, they just grow. Many of them just grow without focus on money, markets, and what do you want? Under what conditions do you feel yourself comfortable? So, education.
Yeah, educate. Okay, do you feel that it's something that it needs to be provided for them on location? Yeah. Ideally, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we need this pandemic to be over so we can send experts everywhere to do the training. Well, we're going to move now to our next speaker, Amber. Amber Hill, she is an experienced lecturer in sustainable agriculture and a science teacher at the Tel Hai College here in Israel. She has published a large variety of studies in desert agriculture and plant psychology, amongst many other publications. She has received several awards as well as collaborated and worked with several universities, not just here in Israel, but also in the United States. She has been a speaker at many international conferences and has devoted much of her time volunteering, conducting workshops on empowerment and leadership for women in agriculture. So Amber, it's a pleasure to see you yet again in one of our activities. We give you the microphone, it's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you. I think this is a great opportunity. I'm glad to be a part of it. I see that from all the stories we've heard until now, we can really get a nice picture of our progress, of our journey, of our development. We always face issues and challenges along the way, but I think these really personal stories that we heard to start with this morning in the beginning of the lectures today, to the Virpi and then Alexandra, now with those really impressive tools that are available for people both online and off. And this is really good collaboration of all these ideas. I'm going to continue talking a little bit more about my experience in the field. Like Nuria said, I teach agricultural training programs in the field with women. I also teach in the college here. I do lots of research on different agricultural issues that we're facing today. And specifically, I'm going to tie that together with the challenges that we're facing now with COVID as well. So where are we today and what are we facing and what can we do next through a few of my stories. So I'm going to share my screen with you and we'll look at what I have to say. Where is it? Hold on a minute. Okay. So I'm happy to join you today to celebrate our International Day of Rural Women. And I just wanted to start with a basic understanding of food security, because I think from here we can start to understand what challenges that we're facing. So what's defined by the FAO, the Food and Agricultural Organization of the UN, is that food security will exist when all people at all times have both physical and economic access to sufficient and safe and nutritious food that meets their dietary needs for an active and healthy life. So this is what we're facing now today. All of these, trying to reach all of these goals at one time. And how do we do that when we have so many challenges that we're coupled with, especially with the COVID pandemic right now? And as we all are aware right now, with the, someone is playing with the screen. Is that something that I saw Alexandra also had this issue. Please don't touch the screen. I'll take care of my own.
It's not us, Amber. I'm so sorry. I have no idea what it could be, but it's not from our end.
Okay. I'll try to go with the flow. So the challenges that we face are not only people taking over our screen because we have to work through Zoom and try to give lectures and try to share our ideas with people. Please don't play with the screen.
Sorry, Amber, I have no idea.
Noya, can you try and control and just give the speakers?
That's what
control?
they have. I don't understand myself. Just give us a second, please.
Okay, thank you.
Let's just stop that for a second. Sorry about that, Amber. I have no idea what caused the problem.
We can try again. It's okay. You want me to start again? Try again, share my screen?
Please try again.
Okay. So what we have to think about is trying to reach all of these goals, but how do we do that when COVID started? This is what the food program, World's Food Program Executive Director said: if we don't prepare and act now to secure access, avoid funding shortfalls and disruptions to trade, we could be facing multiple famines of biblical proportions within a few short months. This is the fear that we have. With all of these issues with food shortage, with trading issues, with us being limited and limited access from our different places, this is what we have to face, and we have to start acting now and collaboratively together. So how do we do that when we're faced with our challenges of global population exploding, with climate change as well? Our potable water is limited. We're losing arable land that we can grow on. We have increasing food wastage, and we have issues of malnutrition and obesity. So these are what we're coupling with, and especially when we see this with women. Women are at the forefront of our caregivers. We see that they make up 70% of those that are dealing with people that have COVID, not only in infrastructures, but in the home. And these are all the kinds of works that are not getting recognized as work. So they continue to do the community work, they make productive, they do reproduction, but they're not getting the validation for that work. Rural women also have little chance of participation in decision-making. If they're facing these challenges, they know what's happening on the forefront, they know what's happening in the field, but they're not the ones making the decision. With COVID, what we're seeing is an exasperation. We're seeing more and more issues of care crisis, economic issues, more poverty, especially the lack of access to goods and mobility. We're seeing less mobility of these goods and increased gender-based violence. Along with all of this, we can't forget what's happening in the home and around us. We're seeing higher rates of malnutrition. We're seeing less money for things that we need, like the burden of care. Women are the ones that we've seen more than 70% are dealing with job loss and taking care of the child at home, yet they still want to continue with their life and continue doing what they do. This is a disruption of the food production chain that particularly affects small-scale food producers. So that's what we're talking about today. These rural women that are working for all over the world every day, all hours of the day. But despite these constraints and limitations, women can do well in agriculture. And we can move forward and we can make progress and development, especially if we start to equally distribute our resources and opportunity the way that it should be done. So I want to give you a few examples of how I am in the field and doing that. So I teach courses, and one of the courses in particular I want to show you was one that I did in northern Brazil. This is an area where there's very limited agriculture. The water is saline because of them being close to the sea, and they're faced with many challenges, especially with COVID, with limited mobility and access to resources. So I came in and I made a course just for women that lived in this area. They're the ones that are in the field. They're the ones that are growing food for their family. And I came in with different techniques and tools that we could share and work together. The first was that I provided a space for them to feel safe. I came with my baby. I taught these courses with my children. I told them that they could bring their children with them. This was my first step. I saw that they felt uncomfortable, that they didn't have the time, that they didn't feel like they were allowed to come to this course because they had to take care of their family. So I said, come with your family, come with your children, come and we'll do this together. This is a collaborative effort. We figured out that some of the women would learn and study, some would be with the children, some would work together. We did this collaboratively and we thought about how to make it work. So that was the first step, making it a safe space, making it open, making it available for everyone that needed to come and go when they needed to, for their families not to feel like they're wasting their time or taking away time from things that need to be at home. We talked about very practical hands-on techniques that they could use in their field and to use in the place. So we talked about exposure to sun. So how could we stop this high evaporation rate? We used the products that were available. We covered the soil so there was less evaporation. We talked about different products that we could use there that were available. We also held a farm sale day. I had all the women come and bring the products that they have from their house. They could sell to the market, to the people, and not feel, many of them in the beginning were very embarrassed. They didn't want to come to the market and sell their products. I said, let's make this an event to see how it goes for you. And from that, they started to feel that they were more accepted and they could come with their products and sell them. Another event that we shared together was I talked about doing what we call a community garden. So there was a space that all the people together could farm and work together and learn about the tools and techniques about farming together. One of the main issues that I kept hearing over and over was they didn't have access to seeds. They were given seeds by the government that were what we call GMOs or closed seeds. So these were hybrid seeds that once you plant them, you can't save your seeds and continue using them. This is a big issue that we're facing. And I taught them how to save seeds and to keep their seeds open. This was very important so they could keep it from generation to generation and keep sharing it's almost like sharing wisdom and tradition. You share your seeds from year to year. And this is really an important aspect that we need to think about, that we can't lose this tradition. Extension services, providing these courses for women specifically. Everyone was invited, but the priority was given to women so they could have their opportunity and a choice to come if this is what they wanted to do. This leads to what we expect to see in the community is more social justice, that everyone has equal opportunity. Doesn't mean one of our speakers today asked a question about overpowerment of women. Let's get to an equal level before we can even talk about overpowerment of women. Let's get to this social justice and then we can discuss the over-empowerment of women. We're not there yet, I'm sorry to say. There's many places around the world that need to be addressed and we need to discuss this. Every place is different. And like we said in Finland, maybe the women have a lot of places in the workplace and in decision-making, and that's wonderful. But we're not there yet in all places of the world. And we need to reach that, and we'll reach that, but it's going to take time. And it's through these education services, it's through this access to services, it's through this open and safe space and ability to transfer information from place to place. So this is just one of the examples that a course that I taught. Another course is I wanted to show here a very local experience of mine in Israel. There is a rural community here in Israel that are the Bedouins. They live here and they have very limited access to water, to food supply, to electricity. And one of the ideas that we had, I came and I worked with them. I also taught an agricultural course. I teach permaculture courses about using local materials. And so we decided that as working with the whole community together, we talked about what could be done to bring more people or bring more financing to this area. And the community as a whole decided they wanted to have something called mud building ecotourism. They wanted to provide an area for people to come and be hosted in their land and to experience what it's like to live in a Bedouin village. So I organized a group of people and we worked with the women there that lived there. We built this little mud hut. It's all of these sacks are filled with mud. It's a traditional building technique in Iran that they use. It's stuffed sacks of sand and we make it in a round. It's kind of like a beehive. So in the end, this is how it came out. And this is what we built for the community with them. So the women there decided that they wanted to hold a hosting, that they were going to host a place to have ecotourism here. But not only this, they came to me with the idea that they wanted to really learn the techniques of growing foods. They could, when they host the people there, they could also grow food for them. So we taught, we did like a little herb garden. And from this, other ideas came out of it. So this is just the beginning of a project that we started. And from that, all these different things came from here. This linked to other different business plans. One woman decided that she really was good at growing herbs and that she learned how to make creams. She took these herbs and she started to make her own business to make medicinal creams and to talk to people about how to take care of their skin or different medical issues that they have through these herbs that we grew. And along with this, the people were able to, with me, teach instructive courses in permaculture and in growing food from their very own land. And we mixed it with, even in this rural area in the south of Israel, we were able to grow food and they're able to teach courses here. And now there's courses that are being taught there to teach not only about growing your own food, but also about tradition, the local traditional women and how they live, and also sharing their land and their knowledge and their tradition. So this is some of a few different experiences that I've had in rural women teaching. And I think it's very important to get out there and start talking about these different available courses and techniques and important things that we could be teaching to women around the world. And so now what, right? So we have all these issues. We're facing all these challenges, and there are opportunities out there. So the main step that we need to take is that our cities and local governments need to take the forefront in building inclusive and resilient food systems. What does that mean? We need to start creating farms and community gardens within the city, not just outside of the city. This is a big part of the future for agriculture for us. We've gone very far with the Green Revolution to create big, huge farms all over monocultures, and we're seeing the backlash of that. We're seeing the problems that we're seeing over use of pesticides because the pests have become too prominent because we're doing these monocultures. So now we need to kind of take a step back and reevaluate what we've done. Yes, we need to feed the public. Yes, we need to feed more and more people because our population is growing. But let's think more sustainable and more creatively of how we can do that, more resilient food systems. Food that's going to be available throughout the year, different seasons, and each season, what can we provide available? And women are at the forefront of doing this. They're the ones who know what we need to eat, when we need to eat it, what the children are going to eat, so we can stop this food insecurity and malnutrition that we're seeing. There are huge opportunities out there, and we can make them happen. We need to start running more farm schools. We need to, even in this phase of COVID, we need to think about how we can take care of people and women as a whole. So this is going to come from investment in capacity building, in our institutions, also cultural change. We need to think differently, right? It's not just about how we use our tools and how we share our ideas, but how we culturally accept that everyone can be a part of this better change for the future, and access to our finance and our markets equally, both for women and men equally. So I thank you for letting me have this opportunity to talk today about some of my stories here in Israel and abroad. I really think that we need to continue this every year, and to throughout the year think about finding more opportunities for our women and for everyone alike. So thanks for having me today.
Thank you, Amber. Thank you so very much. And I have to say, you've given us a lot to think about regarding some of the opportunities that they lied ahead for us. Because that was one of the questions that we had for our panelists today, is we know that many women, especially young women, young people at large, but many women leave rural areas and they want to move into the city and looking for new opportunities. And I wanted to ask you, what is it that you think that we need to do to encourage more young people to stay in these rural areas and work there? And perhaps if they do go out into the city, how we can encourage them to actually do a different type of agriculture within the cities as well. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. That, okay, first of all, why are women, or why are people looking to leave their rural communities to go into the city to find work? So what can we do to sustain more of this, the finances, the markets? What can we think about? What can people think about to find within their homes what to sustain themselves? Maybe there's not enough sustainability there. So if we can think about, I think that food is a big part of that. You're finding your agriculture, you're finding your work, you're finding your food locally, then you can stay there and you'll be healthy and happy. But if not, if you go to the cities, you can also find work there and start to bring a connection between them. There's mobility between them, or even in the cities, to bring the food locally there too.
Thanks, Amber. We have a question from Juna. Juna is from one of our past participants, and she's from Nepal. My question to Amber is, what happened after your program go over? What all did the women do? What else did they want to learn more? Is that
so
right?
the beauty of this program that is amazing now is that, of course, there's WhatsApp and there's connection that we can stay in touch. So I'm still in touch with all these women that I teach and I was with, and there's questions all the time, and they're still in touch, and it's always beautiful to see the progress of that. So the community garden, let's say in Brazil, they've continued that. They still have programs there all the time. They're asking questions. The seed saving that I started there, I told them to keep trying all the seeds even from the fruits and vegetables that they eat, to start saving those and see if any of them are not hybrids, and they've started to save those seeds. Here in Israel, the ecotourism, they still have it open. There's not really tourism happening right now, but they're trying to have local tourism. So people around Israel are looking for tourism because you cannot fly anymore. So actually that's still working there. And there's still permaculture courses that happen there. And the woman, Miriam, she still sells her creams, and she's a great business. Something that is interesting that happened there is she was kind of excluded from the community because she became such a strong woman and started her own business. So this comes back to the idea of not only supporting women in finding their progress and development, but in thinking about how to deal with it in the community as well. It's a mindset that needs to happen as well, that we need to find support so that she can get support from all the community, not just that she feels happy in what she's done and she can help other people with her cream, but it's a bit problematic. She feels a bit excluded from the community. So we're trying to think about how to work with that as well, with social justice within the community.
Thanks, Amber. We had a question for Alexandra. Alexandra, we wanted to know a little bit more about how did women cope and deal with their issues during the Corona time in Ukraine. I'm talking about the program that the UHPTP had over there. Was if you heard from the experience of these rural women.
May I clarify, what do you mean co-op? Among themselves, among whom co-op?
With their businesses, about how women dealt with during the Corona time in their businesses.
Okay, thank you. I can say, fortunately, Corona started when we worked very actively with women as well. So many of them, they were already very active. And we as UHBDP should not pay a lot of efforts. So this from one side. From another side, even we, of course, we didn't know about Corona, about quarantine. However, including due to Mashab, we developed sustainable business models. And since I think 2017, we started to pay a lot of attention to visibility. And this visibility, of course, was in frames of formal businesses, and from another way, visibility online. If your business isn't online, your business, let's say, doesn't exist. And before Corona, our clients, particularly rural women, they received a big base. They developed Instagram pages, they developed Facebook pages, they promoted their products through all these resources. They developed, for example, brands, logos. They started to gather and to analyze a database of clients, how women and men interact with a database, manage this database, how do they communicate with clients, what is the way to deliver products. So Corona and quarantine was just the incentive for them to try everything online, to try everything in internet. But many of them, they were prepared through trainings, and past year they just practiced all knowledge and skills they received during the education. And also we conducted online working meetings through sometimes cell phone, because internet not always good in rural areas. So we conducted cell phone conferences, meetings, where women shared constraints or maybe something they afraid to do, and another women, they shared their success in their experiences. So we continued to support. I think the highest challenge was to support their networking during the quarantine among women, because many people were very stressed about what to do, and they, from how to say, they started less pay attention to business friends. And we continued this network. We supported them, and we supported them in their online presence.
That's a great example. Thank you so much, Alexandra. It really was. I think we have one comment for you, Amber, regarding the sustainable measures. There is someone they didn't quite understand, and if you could possibly clarify what sustainable mechanisms you had in your project. They couldn't quite clearly understand what is it that it made, what sustainable measures you adopted.
So I mean, it's a whole course, right? I mean, that's what we talk about as sustainable measures. But one of the pictures that I showed was that we used local materials for what we call mulch. So we don't use plastic, or we don't leave the soil exposed to get too much sun exposed to it, and we lose water from that. Instead, we cover the soil so that it stays moist, it stays alive, it keeps all of the fertility there, and we cover it with the plants that we had there. And we had palm fronds, so we covered it, and we were able to keep the soil healthy by covering it, not overexposing it. That's just one of the techniques. We also talked about how to make compost, and we built a compost bin, and we talked about how to use the resources that we have available to us. I noticed that most of the people there thought of their horse manure or their cow manure as waste, and it was taking up space, and they didn't know what to do with it. And we talked about how they can reuse it and keep the resources local and keep it there. We talked about, like I said, seed saving. So instead of buying their seeds and bringing in new, about how keeping it there and keeping it local. We talked about water and where it's coming from. They have a big issue with water in lots of places. We face these issues. One of their issues is that it's been infringed by salt, because the water table has been reduced, and it's linked in with the sea now, and they're having all these issues. So we talked about rain catchment and how to catch our water and collect it and reuse it and keep it safely. So these are just a few of the techniques that we talked about. There's a range of different techniques that are available, and a whole course that I teach.
Of course, we need more time for all of that. Our agricultural center, Mctc, will be only too happy to help with that. So I think we do have one more question. Sarah, I believe you had something to ask. I can't hear her. Sarah, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello? Oh, I'm sorry. This is actually my question, so it turned out well. First of all, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. It's been a really fascinating panel. My question has to do with COVID and adding technology into everything that we've been doing. Everyone spoke about how we, and we did the same thing at MCTC. We put everything online. We started communicating online. We started doing all our training programs online. But there is a huge gender gap with who has access to technology and who has access to smartphones, who has access to internet. And we know that fewer women have access than men. And I was wondering if, I know Dr. Stuckey, you spoke a little bit about this, maybe you can speak a little bit more about what we can do to try and reduce that gender divide, what we can do to try and have access to more women that don't have access to technology or the internet or smartphones. And I would be happy to hear from everyone, but we can start with Dr. Stuckey.
Thank you, Sarah. I wish I had the answer. This is exactly what we have been. We are trying to figure out. I mean, we do, of course, like as you mentioned, we know that there is this gender disparity of access to internet and so forth. What we recently found out is basically about the kind of the connectivity gap versus the usage gap. And the connectivity gap seems it's a lot less than I thought. I think it's something like, I don't know if it's, I might not remember the figure correct, but it was more like 3% only, whereas the usage gap is a lot higher. And I can exemplify this connectivity gap by the fact that we have a project in Liberia, and we had a fire actually there, and we kept on receiving videos and pictures of that event, and we were wondering it's in a very rural area with no electricity and all that, and we got these photos, and we were saying like, how do you send these over? And they were saying, oh, we have 5G, we have 4G. the connectivity gap in the rural area of Liberia was not an issue, but of course the persons who can afford it, the usage gap is an issue. So the only way we can think of is work with connectivity providers, MTNs, and these kind of companies to make sure that the return on investment, which is not there, could be somehow subsidized by, I don't know, governments, or I know Bill and Gates Foundation is doing a lot of work on this, basically saying that they guarantee the investment, or the kind of the break even of the investment. So they say that, okay, if you company invest in this area that is not or has a low usage gap, and if you don't make profit out of it, we pay you the loss so that you can break even. So I know that there are kind of charities and development agencies that are looking into that. Of course, for us as UNIDO, we would be interested in partnering in this kind of initiatives. So that's all I have to say. I have to say I wish I would have the clear answer, but I don't.
Thank you. Actually, that's very helpful to know that the connectivity gap is smaller and the usage gap is the problem. I think that's already helping with the gender gap. So thank you very much. I don't know if the other panelists would like to answer, if they have experience with something.
Yeah. I can add our experience from Ukraine. On the beginning of the project, we faced the challenge that few people had computers and not many people had smartphones. And some of our partner organizations, they started to work with heads of school, rural schools, and with rural libraries. In Ukraine, for example, there are computers in schools, in all, I think in all schools, maybe I'm wrong, but I suppose that in all schools and in many rural libraries. And our partner organizations, which are NGOs, they founded relations with the heads, with the principals of those schools and libraries. And the doors became open for rural people. Of course, there was the schedule of time, but people started to visit libraries and computer classes in schools. And now we have very interesting data in UHBDP. On the beginning of the project, there were only 20% of people who used smartphones. Currently, there are 80% of people after 7 years who started to use smartphones. And on the beginning of the project, many rural people told to us it's very expensive for us to use smartphone. We will not buy it. Now, some rural people, women of older age who told us these words, they now speak to their neighbors. It's impossible not to have smartphone. I bought smartphone. I look for webinars, I look for news, I communicate with traders through some messengers. Now it's impossible to do business without smartphones. So 7 years passed and mind absolutely changed, and technologies became more cheap than 7 years ago. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to piggyback off of that. I also noticed that actually we've kind of skipped the computers were expensive and bigger and not everyone access, but now with the smartphones, it's almost like there's more access. And some of the women that I worked with were illiterate and they didn't know how to write. So this became a problem. But on the other hand, with WhatsApp or with, you can record yourself and you use the vocal application, and that opened a whole new world for women who weren't able to communicate with writing. Now they can use it with a spoken message. So this is actually a big jump and a way to kind of maybe make that gap smaller. That's what I noticed in the field.
That's a very good point, Amber. And yes, we also from the work that we conduct here at MCTC and Mashaf, we've also experienced that from our participants and the stories that they tell us as exactly like that, how much the technologies have actually helped them to develop their business and to grow and to expand and to be more connected and to be able to share with people from all over the world, not just their local area, but they're actually being able to share techniques from different parts and learn from one another. And of course, from organizations such as the UHBDP or UNIDO or many others, they can actually access information that you have ready available for the public at large. So I thank all of you for
I
being
would like
here.
just to add
sorry.
maybe.
Sorry, Katrina, go
Here
ahead.
at MCTC, we do have a course on use of information communication technologies for business development. And really this course contains different tools of promoting business, online business, if it's mobile application, if it's a computer application that you can use to develop or to support all kind or different kind of client management system. And while people here, they are really use it, they are develop it, and they are actually working on this project when they come back. So we can see really good examples and success stories after these courses.
Thanks, Kat, it's true. But we do encourage you all to have a look at our website and our social media so you can actually see all the different activities that we are currently holding and we will be having in the future with all of you, with Amber, with UHBDP, and I'm very God with UNIDO very soon. We'll continue our courses here in Israel with you. So thank you all.
Nuria, sorry, can I just quickly interrupt you? Someone's paused my video. I'm unable to start my video cam.
Okay, we're just saying goodbye either way, Greg. So don't worry about your video right now. We're just saying goodbye to all the participants.
I'd like you to see me though.
I would like to say goodbye to all of you. Thank you so much for participating in this day, and I wish you all the very, very best. And keep sharing your good stories. It's good to see some of my familiar faces to MCTC. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great Sunday. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Nuria.